This media is brought to you by Polyscope.
In the realm of tomorrow, where techniques mind, we ponder, we dream.
Thank you so much for joining me. This is great to finally meet you in person because this is how we meet each other nowadays through Zoom. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization and what you're passionate about?
Great. Hey, thanks for having me on, Chris. So I'm Phillip Swan. I'm one of 4 co-founders at an enterprise-grade AI company called Iridius, Iridius.
Well, that's a tough one to pronounce, isn't it? Iridius.
Yes, finally getting it. We could get a 7-letter domain name.
Did you actually go to ChatGPT and say, "Can you give me a 7-letter domain name or the shortest domain name possible?"
Pretty darn close. I mean, there was definitely some ChatGPT work involved in the naming, but the naming actually came out of iridium, and iridium obviously coming from from meteorites and asteroids, and it's an exceptionally strong metal with strong anti-corrosion properties, and so this is about building strength around enterprise-grade AI solutions. And what we do at Iridius is we solve 2 problems. The first problem is safe and responsible AI. And the second is that we built a brand new blueprint for building AI solutions. So this is not vibe coding. This is enterprise-grade, scalable AI solutions that can operate within compliance, governance, regulations, you name it, with security, and not impacting performance. So we've architected a phenomenal solution and building a phenomenal solution for our clients that allows them to really get into AI and into production and moving out of R&D projects.
Well,
and what I am, yeah, go ahead.
No.
You asked me what I'm passionate about. I am
deeply
passionate at my age about leaving a legacy where I've left humanity better than when it was when I joined it. And that is genuine from inside my heart. And for me, this is all about how do we enable society? I mean, we've got all of these threats to jobs and everything else. How do people get retrained? And how do I've got a wife who works, I've got kids who work, and how do they enter into the AI world as well? And these are all things that that I and my co-founders and the entire company all believe in. We believe in being good for people and good for the planet. That's the focus of the company.
Which is, of course, what everybody should be like. Everybody should be doing the same thing.
Right.
Not everybody follow those rules. But so when you talked about vibe coding, is that basically what it is, but internal within the organization and secure and separated from the rest of the world?
Vibe coding is rapid prototyping, right? So it's not
basically
production code. That's basically what it is.
For everything that I've done is definitely not production quality, I got to tell you.
No. So you can use various tools out there. You've got the Replets of the world, the LangChains of the world, the Cursors of the world, right? They're great and phenomenal tools at what they do. But what they don't do is they don't do any of the compliance. They don't do any of the risk management or the scalability. And because it's just like, you could build me a new cell phone operating system.
Well, they can barely do MVPs, actually.
That's right. Exactly. So how do you now go beyond these rapid prototypes or research projects into production? And we see this so many times with our clients that they're spending millions upon these AI solutions or systems, and they're not going anywhere.
It's true. It's true. It's almost like what people used to do with innovation, right? We'll spend a lot of money bringing an innovation program. We'll bring in a chief innovation officer. We'll bring all these people in, and we'll do all this innovation. And at the end of it, nothing comes out of it. No products. Nothing's created. So it's kind of like that with AI right now. There's a lot of gnashing and work being done, but what output is actually occurring? What's coming out of it?
Yes. So that's the good part. So you have to. So there are a couple of areas that I don't care whether you're a large enterprise, a small business, or applying as the human being, right? Onto this, you've got to pick the right use case for AI. And without everybody thinks that AI is this sliced bread and toaster all rolled into one. It can do everything.
It can't? Tell me that it can't?
Darn.
Of course it can. Look at it. It looks like it can do everything, right?
Absolutely. And it'll even hallucinate for you. And hallucination, by the way, is not necessarily a bad thing. But
I don't think it's a bad thing at all. Some of the coolest stuff that my AI has generated has been hallucinations. It's very creative, I got to say.
Exactly. And that's the whole point of the hallucination, is that it is actually being creative, because you haven't given it enough context. So it'll go like, oh, let me think about that. And
so I like making my prompts. I like making my prompts really light, because I love to be surprised by what it comes back with. Sometimes it's just a little too wacky. But sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, this is great. I mean, I love this dialogue. I mean, the future is ours. You've got the absolute naysayers, hype, ridiculers on one side of the equation, and then you've got the people on the right side, the far right side of the equation, who are just like, anything goes.
That's right.
And to heck with the with safety and responsibility. And then you get most of us in the middle, which are like, okay, I can see where it can benefit me, but I'm going to tread pretty carefully. And because I'm careful about my reputation, whether it's a company or a human being, I'm careful about the security of my team, my customers, all of those things. AI can be harmful.
Oh, absolutely.
AI can be, if you tell AI to be evil, it will be evil. We've actually done some interesting experiments on this, and it will do it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it has no conscience. It can conscience. It can do whatever it likes, and but it's like, that's the thing that sort of pulls me back on it, is that I think people have forgotten that it's a tool. It's simply a tool, and they allow it to do things that it shouldn't be doing. And I think this is part of the big upset that we're in right now, is that we have human beings doing things that AI should do, and we have AI doing things human beings should do. And once that all gets sorted out, then we'll be in a much better place.
Correct. And I think what's also going to happen, unfortunately, is that humankind is going to get lazy and lose cognitive abilities.
No, that's for sure. That is definitely happening.
And, because they're relying on it now. I mean, I had it with my 30-year-old son the other day. It's just like, I can't believe it was telling me to do this, this, and this, and it was all wrong. And I'm going like, it's lying to me, Dad. And I'm going like, well, tell it. You can tell it. He was getting all emotional about it, and I'm going like,
yeah,
just tell it to stop lying to you, and it will.
That's right.
He goes, I didn't think about that.
Well, there's a friend of mine who's written a number of nonfiction books, like in the computer space, and I talked to him the other day, and he said, AI has ruined me for writing. Like, I can't write anymore. I said, what do you mean you can't write anymore? Because I just write, I do the prompt, and it creates a chapter for me, and I think, well, that's good enough. Isn't that terrible?
That is pretty bad. I mean, I do all my own writing. I love to write, and and I write for business for a reason, because AI, you can't have copyright, right? So it's so we have I have a whole belief that I should have copyright over my content, and the same thing with the company. So I'm not going to use AI to generate it.
Exactly.
And that's a key thing.
So
don't get lazy.
Yeah. Are you kidding? We call it resource optimization, right? Not laziness.
Yeah, that's a good one, Chris. I like that one. I need to remember that one.
Yeah. Well, I keep saying that sometimes to people. I say, well, human beings are lazy. And they say, don't say lazy, say resource optimizers. And I'm like, okay. I mean, it's basically the same thing. But so with your tool, are you like, how does it work in practice? I mean, I'm building some big internal LLM that's completely isolated from the rest of the world, and then does it work just like a vibe coding type of?
It's not a vibe coding tool at all. What it is it's a tool for builders and for business decision makers. So imagine you wanted to say, is like, I want to build a system that replaces my CRM and ERP for my entire enterprise, and factoring in, these things. It will go off and build you something. But the more specificity that you give it, like a PRD, product requirements document, or even a napkin drawing, right, of what it should look like. I mean, any kind of input we take and ingest, and then we figure out from that ingestion right away what it is you're trying to build. And we will lay out what compliance needs to have, whether it's ISO 42001, whether it's SOC 2 compliance for a SaaS application, whatever, high trust for medical, but you go down the list and you name it, pulls it all in. And at the time you are designing your application, your AI solution, before you've coded, got a single line of code generated, it is already compliant by design. Because what we have done is that this is our secret sauce now. I'm not going to say how we do it, but we've filed patents around this, is that we are able to ingest very, very complex suites of documents, right? So I'll run an example. ISO 42001, which is very prevalent in the AI world, especially in Europe and around the EU AI Act. 42001 is actually itself made up of 70 different ISO standards, plus multiple areas of research. And how do you now use the whole Robert Hyland grok?
Jeez, we've created a monster.
That's right. We've created a monster. How do you grok this, right? And we grok these documents. And so at the point where you are actually the system is actually building the AI solution, it's referring not only to these standards, but you as a company could have AI governance docs. I would really strongly recommend that if you don't, you do. You start building that governance up just like you would do anything else. And we apply all these rules and regulations and research and everything together so that you have confidence that by the time you start prototyping this, you actually have a real AI solution. You're in full-on user acceptance test. There's no rapid prototyping in the traditional sense. You are literally moving straight into an application, testing that application, having users potentially using the AI solution, and doing that iteratively. So you are literally designing a production-ready AI solution in hours and days that would normally take you months, if not years, to do. That is what we do. It
still sounds like vibe coding is a core of it, though, right? Because you still have that interactive piece
No,
of it.
and the reason why it's not vibe coding is that the architecture underneath this is built out to be so scalable that we can literally create. We use the right models that we can literally create production-ready code. The key thing here is you don't go off and build the whole thing. It's divide and conquer. The old days when how I learned how to program, you go down and you actually break the problem down into such a point where you've got bare metal, you've got nowhere else to go. I've solved the problem. And so I start building up my functions, my procedures, and all the other code.
Yeah, you start with nothing, basically, or libraries.
That's exactly right. And so that's where we break it down into those small chunks that can then be built into being production ready. You still want to have, your software developers will now be taking that code and really optimizing that by hand. So it's got full loops into your repos, whether it's GitHub or whatever else you may be using. And at any point, you can edit the code in GitHub and it reverts all the way back. We build out architectural diagrams for BPMN, which is for business process. You can start coding and having all of that. All of that is ready to go for you from day one. And
but so, you have to be a developer to use this thing, or you can just be anyone. See, that's why it makes me think like vibe coding again, because it's like I could be anybody and tell it what to do, and it would actually generate an application. But there's still more to it.
That's right. And but you want software, you want engineers looking at that code before it goes into production, because
of course, yeah. I mean, it can't.
security.
I'm sure that it can't generate things that are absolutely ready, unless it's the simplest ever application, right?
No, it's not. It gets you
Not
to
even
UAT. It gets you to user acceptance test, right?
Right, and that's about as far as it goes. Yeah.
What we go through all the unit tests. We will even generate the unit test to test the AI solution. So then what you are left with to do is the functional testing. We do not do the functional testing. You have to do that. That requires humans. That's, I don't see any way around functional testing.
Can't I just bring in another AI to do your functional testing?
Yeah, right. Yeah, good luck with that one.
Remember, humans are resource optimizers. We want to make sure, we don't want to do everything. We want to do this whole thing to build it itself.
That's
but
right.
That's not where you want to go.
No, because what many coders want to do, they don't actually want to write go through all the syntax errors and everything else that actually writes in the code, right? Which is why they use VS Code and all these other tools. We're not an IDE. We integrate with those IDEs. So if you want to use Cursor, go ahead and use Cursor. You want to use Replit? Use Replit. We don't care. But we'll also do it ourselves, right? And we'll do it even more efficiently ourselves rather than those third-party tools.
Yeah, it's funny because anybody who I've shown vibe coding to, the people who are most excited about it are not the end users, but the coders themselves, because it's going to eliminate so much grunt work that they had to do to get to a certain point, and then take over from there.
That's correct. So to some degree, I think you could say it's vibe-alike, but it's absolutely not. I can tell you this, because when you look at the code that's generated, you go, no, this is not the code that you get out of your typical vibe coding.
Yeah, no, I have literally arguments with Replit saying, it tells me I've fixed all these problems, it's working perfectly, and I'm like, no, I just tested it and it isn't. So I don't know why you're telling me this.
Yeah. Exactly. So look at the success that some of these companies have had. I mean, Cursor, they've gone from nowhere. They'll be $500 million this year, I think.
It's nuts.
It's nuts.
So you're saying that everything that you build is internal to the to your client. So if you bring client A brings it in, and then everything is built internally. It doesn't physically exist though. It's still sort of a SaaS, and you do it at different.
No, it will physically exist. So the code that gets generated that goes into a GitHub repo, and you would actually you go through your standard DevSecOps process to get the code released. But the tool actually has all the components to get the compliance approved, whether it's your chief legal officer, your compliance officer, your head of security, your CISO, whomever, right? Gets the ability to go in, and we provide the tools to them that gives them the ability to say yes. And that's the key. How do you get the lawyers to say yes to your AI application before it goes out into the wild? We enable that. Right.
So it's kind of like I'm trying to encapsulate it in a simple phrase. It's sort of like adult vibe coding or something like that. Right?
Well, I call it the last mile in AI solutions. We are the last mile because we provide, because when you look at an enterprise, which is where we're focused today, enterprises and SMBs, other SaaS companies and ISVs are who we sell to, but our primary go-to-market is our enterprise customers, is when you look at how in their development process integrating with existing systems, our system automatically will integrate into those existing systems. So we've designed a multi-agent system and framework that is infinitely scalable. The limits we hit up against are the hyperscaler limits, so Azure limits, AWS limits, GCP limits, right? It's not on us. And there are very few companies out there. When we talk about a multi-agent process, we're talking agents in the millions and billions, not these large monolithic sequential things. We're talking about true parallelism. We talk about true multi-processing, right? And so everything runs within secure containers that enables you to go and scale this. And these are all proven technologies out there that we're doing. We've just adapted existing technologies on the lower end to to support our architecture. But the architecture is absolutely, I'm not just saying this, it's really a thing of beauty that our CTO and team have come up with. They're just absolutely brilliant.
So just as a yardstick, let's say I hate my CRM, right?
Yeah.
And I want to build a CRM from scratch, which is perfect for my
Yep.
organization. What's
Yep.
what's the time frame we're talking about that you could build it
So
in?
funnily enough, that's what we're doing ourselves. So we built our own CRM. Funny
Of course, you got to eat your own
that.
dog food. That's what I learned that at Yahoo. It's like eat your own dog food.
That's it. We are absolutely eating our own dog food. So we're not using a third-party CRM. Everything is internal, and
Nice.
that gives and it's truly agentified. And we have we take it's the whole go-to-market operating system for us that's all intertwined with our ERP. So everything is built in-house for our operations, customer success, and really driving value to our customers, right? Because customers just want it to work.
Mm-hmm.
Customers just, they don't necessarily want it, but they know when they need to get a hold of a human, they can get a hold of a human. That's us. If you want to get a hold of us, you can get a hold of us. And so it's not this black wall of typical SaaS companies of where you won't get support. Obviously for different levels of support, you're going to pay for different levels
Sure.
that you're going to get. But things do go wrong. We've built things that are resilient, right? So that when agents fail, the system doesn't fail. The system degrades gracefully and it goes off and fixes itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually witnessed this happen last week for the very first time, where an agent actually went and deconstructed itself and rebuilt itself 100 times better.
Sounds like science fiction.
It sounds like science fiction. At which point I told my wife this, and my wife goes, "Oh, that doesn't sound very safe." And I said, "You're right. It's not," which is why we ran it on a local machine, not connected to the internet, because we know what we just did.
But at some point, they should be able to deconstruct themselves and reconstruct themselves safely.
Safely.
Yeah.
Safely.
Yeah. So how long would you say it took then to go from like conception to an actual full blown CRM? Well, how long would that take to do
for us? For ours, honestly, 4 hours.
Wow. Holy crap, that's crazy.
4 hours. Now, obviously, get it functioning. It's taken more to get it really up to, but it's not a lot more.
Sure.
We're not talking months here, right?
Yeah. So like 4 hours to get to MVP state or something like that, or
pretty much.
Okay.
And then it's literally tweak.
Aren't you going to basically destroy the commercial off the shelf software industry by doing this? I mean, you could just replace every single tool with a custom piece of software if you have this.
It's the rule of unintended consequences, right? It's certainly not our intention, okay?
Right.
But you're very wise to pick up on that because that's exactly what companies are looking at and going like, why can't our customers use this to replace us? Mm-hmm. Well, the reason they won't replace you is customers still want domain expertise and that domain expertise. So if you are a CRM expert, which I am and several people on the team are, because we've lived in all of our lives and building it and been in the CRM world for most of our careers, is for us it was second nature to go and build it. But I wouldn't advise that to just anybody to go and build their own CRM unless you really understood.
So people who are pissed off, Salesforce doesn't have to worry too much.
I don't think they have to worry too much yet. I really don't. I think
because you could literally destroy complete industries if this picked up, right? Because if you think about it, there's probably I don't know, for considering how many people I know who don't like Salesforce, that could be like 80% of Salesforce users might decide to say, you know what, I'm just going to build my own CRM, my own bespoke CRM in-house that works perfectly for us, and that'll cause all sorts of trouble.
So having lived in CRM and ERP a lot of my career, I know what a bad implementation looks like. And, I'm not going to badmouth anybody because everybody suffers from it.
Sure.
It's actually down to a lot to do with the implementation, and and I'm not talking about Salesforce or HubSpot. I'm talking about the consultants around the ecosystem that are building it.
For of course, because basically they're platforms. They're
Yes,
platforms, and you're
correct.
building on top of the platform. So it's how the
Correct.
platform has been implemented for sure.
That's correct. Yeah. So if I was a SaaS company right now and I did not have a solid AI strategy, I would be talking to Iridius right now about how I could agentify my SaaS platform. That's what I
Right.
would be doing. And
Yeah.
we are talking to several for that
Well,
reason.
so this is making me think you're destroying industries. You're putting people out
But
of
we're
work.
rebuilding them as well. So we're not just. But here's the whole thing, Chris. I believe if you're going to actually build something strong, you got to break something first.
Well, yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. If things aren't working well, I mean, if there's demand and people are unhappy with what's out there today, and this fills a gap, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
So
it's time.
we're excited about it and what we can do for our customers and more importantly, their clients, right? So there are great use cases around customer service, right? We know, the whole industry knows those that are there's a whole industry that are built around them. And we had, we spoke to one of those companies not that long ago, and to your earlier point, they look at it, go like, "Oh crap, we need to bring in our engineers to look at this because of what you're doing," right? And
Yeah.
it's valid, but we're playing to where the ball's going to be. Where the ball is today is with vibe coding. We're playing to where the ball's going to be next year.
Yeah.
And
That's what. And speaking of that, it's time to think like a futurist. It's the year 2035,
yes,
10 years from now. Where do you think this is going to be? I mean, is what you're doing going to basically take over the entire off-the-shelf software industry?
no, I don't think that's going to happen.
Why
I
not? It
really,
sounds like the best solution. You
it sounds
bespoke
like
for
a great solution,
everywhere.
but in reality, the reality in all of that is if you're not technical, I mean, how are you going to support your own CRM, right? If you're not
Layers, man. You're going to build layers and layers and layers of
layers
agentic
and layers,
AI on top.
all of a
And you're going to
sudden we
have
get back
one
to the
orchestrator. It'll go back to vibe coding again. It'll just be one guy in a booth saying, "I want a CRM." Boom. It's all created.
so created exactly. So we're getting there, but where I see things going in tech, I mean, look, I couldn't even tell you what's going to happen tomorrow, right? I mean,
Mm,
that's the reality of it. We had an advance notice that what OpenAI is launching today, what they're planning for this month. We have a little bit of visibility, and because of the tightness, the closeness that we have with OpenAI,
right.
we don't have so one of our team members is the head of OpenAI's developer forum, so he gets to see what over 1 million developers are doing in AI, and and when he can tell us, he tells us when things are going to happen in OpenAI, and this is going to be a very busy month. You saw Sam Altman on Sunday post that, hey, put on your care hat because we're launching a lot of stuff. So performance is going to be hit and availability is going to be hit, etc. As we're doing this, so please be patient. So he set expectations of that.
Oh boy.
But where I see things going is in 10 years is that AGI will have absolutely happened by then. Everybody's debating when is AGI going to.
It's already here. We just don't know it.
Yeah, well, I actually think you're right on that one. I know you're quasi joking, but I think you're right.
There's wasn't there like a few years? Was it about a year ago or somebody somewhere inside of OpenAI leaked something that made it sound like they'd already gotten to it.
Yes, they did. That was about this time last year.
And it's all been covered up.
Correct.
That's my thinking is that someone somewhere has figured it out. It's just not. It's just they're not just ready to release it yet. Kind of like at the beginning of OpenAI. Remember, OpenAI got freaked them out. They freaked themselves out, and they said, "We're not ready to release this yet." So maybe something similar is going on.
So when's GPT-5 going to release? Is it going to be August or October? I don't know, but it'll be somewhere between then and then, right? GPT-6 and 7 are probably ready to go. GPT-8 is probably going through red teaming.
Which one is AGI? Is it going to get a different name?
Which one of those is, and that's the point, which one of those is AGI? Because I believe in one of those is AGI.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it'll be
AGI,
cool. I cannot wait.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
I can tell you that my wife is just waiting for having the household robot so that we don't have to do our own housework anymore. So
I know, where is the robot that can empty the dishwasher? I mean, I will pay good money for that.
Next year, I think. Honestly, I think next year we'll start to see robotics happen. The home robots happening, right?
I love it.
They'll be able to do basic house cleaning and basic cooking, right? I think that will be next year.
Nice.
But when it comes to B2B, what I believe in enterprise, you know, and what I think will happen within the next 10 years is that AI will be woven into the entire fabric of virtually every businesses out there.
Yeah.
Much like electricity or the internet is today, right?
Yes, exactly.
And it's just assumed to be a part of operations. So you will see the 10-person, 100-person, billion-dollar company in revenue, not valuation, but in revenue within the next couple of years. Of that, I am convinced.
Absolutely.
But between now and the next 10 years, virtually every enterprise will have undergone some kind of reorganization to fully leverage AI. We're seeing Microsoft do it already. They've already laid off 15,000 people this year, claiming that's to optimize for AI. We're seeing Amazon do the same, or AWS do the same. Saw Palantir announce their record-breaking earnings, for their first $1 billion quarter, yet they're still laying people off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so. We're seeing that happen because everybody says AI is not out to get your job.
I don't know who believes. Does anyone actually believe that?
Well, you know what they say. You say it often enough, you start to believe your own BS.
Right.
Exactly. But what I honestly believe, is that, and this changes, but this can change by the day. But I think entry-level jobs will be virtually decimated between now and 3 to 5 years.
It's already happening. It's already happening. It's already happening. So the question is, how do you get past the entry-level job? It's like, if you have a job now, you're okay until you get laid off. But if you're looking for work in the entry-level space, there's nothing left.
I struggle with this. I really, from an ethical standpoint, or just in my own brain, and where I come back to is just like, if we don't do it, somebody else will, and they're not going to do it as well.
It'll happen. It'll happen. I think the whole thing is that there has to be a shift. And I talked about this in 2017. I said that eventually we're going to get to the point where blue collar work, like working with physical people and objects and things, is going to become more valuable than being an accountant or a CEO at an organization. And that's where the jobs are, or that's where the jobs will be. Of course, until we have robots to do it for us. But at least that's a little further out. That's a little closer.
I saw a YouTube video of Mo Gaudat, who was the former chief business officer at Google X, and he basically said in this podcast, and it was on Monday in his Diary of a CEO, where he basically said that the idea that the AI will create jobs is 100% crap. And
I agree with that.
I look at that and I go, as much as I hate to admit it, there's truth to this.
But so that means that those of us who are in this field need to work on ways to give jobs back to the community. It's like we're taking them away, but we have to create other jobs in other places that actually are specifically for human beings, like that AI can't do.
It can't do. That's exactly right. So we're going to see these new category of jobs. This is where I think it's really going to. People are not going to be eliminated from work. I think their jobs are just going to change. I mean,
exactly.
Honestly, a year ago, how many open jobs did we see a year ago on LinkedIn for prompt engineers? Now,
Exactly.
right? That job did not exist a year or two ago, right? It's a made up
Yeah.
job,
But
right?
it's the same thing like what you were saying with the internet. It's like, remember, like go back to 1992 and tell people you're a web designer. They'll be like, does that
Yeah,
have something to do with spiders? No.
that's right. Right. And God help him if you go back to even, because you and I share a similar age, I think, and we'll go back to, I used to work with the old Hayes modems from home with dial up, right?
Geez, I remember those.
Right. Sorry, folks. You're talking about something that would go click, 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 click,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Versus this instant, I've got gigabit access to speed throughout my entire house.
Yeah.
Great. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. That was
We can't
not true
imagine that.
20 years ago.
No, it's absolutely nuts. But yeah, see, that's the thing. It's kind of like we have to give back to the community by figuring out how to create jobs that will not
Yes.
be eliminated by AI. So that's
And I think it's
definitely an
also
important thing.
incumbent in education too, so especially
Yeah.
tertiary education. My next door neighbor, his sons are both at one of the top computer science schools in the country. They both went to the same or are going to the same school. And I've been talking to them when they're back from vacation. I'm going like, "What are you going to do?" And I go, "I don't
Yeah,
know."
exactly. Exactly. And these are top graduates from top universities and
Correct.
they're not finding work. It's insane.
Nope.
But
No.
this is a problem we need to deal with. So let's start working on it, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, yes, you're correct. As a society, we absolutely need to. And then, because how are people going to afford to live? I mean, even today, I mean, you live in the Bay Area, I live in the Seattle area, right?
Hmm.
And they're both hyper expensive areas. I mean, my sons are in their late 20s and they boomeranged home. They can't afford, even they've got the
Same.
good jobs, can't
Same.
afford to live.
Two of my three boys are in the late 20s and one's in his early 30s, and they're all still here for the same
Yeah,
reasons. For the
yeah,
same
they can't.
reasons. And so that we've got to figure out a way out of this mess. And
Correct.
but we're doing it. We're thinking about it. We're thinking
We're
about it.
thinking about it. We've got to do something about it, Chris. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and who knows where AI is going for consumers, right? Absolutely, robotics is one of the key areas, right? We're already seeing that in in industry that robotics has been around for a while. But I'm talking about autonomy, right?
Yeah.
True autonomy.
Oh, I
And
love to see it. I love to see all that. It's kind of like on the one hand, I love to see it, but on the other hand, we need to figure out what will people do. And my biggest vision is something that I call the task economy, where we have dispatchers, automated dispatchers in the world, which basically hand out work
yeah,
based on whether it's better for a human to do it or it's better for a machine to do it. And it's like, well, you'll just be walking along and they'll say, hey, here's something you can do, and you'll earn some money off of it or something like that. But there's got to be
right.
some way of changing things up, and we'll figure it out. We always have in the past, so we will do it again. I mean, that's why I'm not too pessimistic about it, because this is always the way it works. It's like when we're ahead of it or when we're in it, we're all freaking out, going, "What are we going to do?" But then when we're on the other side of it, there's just so much more opportunity. We just haven't figured out what that is yet.
Yep, exactly, exactly.
Cool.
So,
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much. So, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
so on LinkedIn, I'm Phillip Phillip -SWAN, and DM me there. But check us out at iridius.ai. And our podcast. We too have our own podcast, the Agentic Insider, and go to agenticinsider.show and check out some of the amazing guests that we have on our weekly podcast. Chris, it's been an
Nice.
absolute pleasure talking to you,
It's been
man.
great. And I'll put all the links in the show notes so people can go direct. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Great
Thank
talking
you.
with you.
Likewise.
Bye bye.
Pixels and philosophies merge and mold, a future untold, unseen.